Hello and welcome. Today is Sunday, the 30th day of July 2017. My name is Derek. I've done a Google search for what happens when the national debt hits 20 trillion. After all, we have a situation in which 19.968. You would think that it is looming, but if you've been following the national debt over the last 6 to 8 months, you would see it's stalling like no other at that 20. For one of my ideas for over a year or two now was to actually record when this thing crosses over from 19,999s into the 20. I did some calculations back when Trump won presidency. And it seemed as if it would head into the spring of this year. And well, we now are entering August very shortly. Notice the dates on a lot of these articles. So CNBC with Dow 20,000 passed, $20 trillion on national debt is next, January 25th. March the 15th, the U.S. is about to hit 20 trillion in debt. Here's how it affects you. June the 19th from MarketWatch. So that's one of the more newer ones, albeit still 5 to 6 weeks previous. February 22nd on Barron's. Watchdog. The federal debt is 20 trillion question mark. Try 100 trillion. Well, we've never ever really had an audit of the Fed, and I mean, those are the numbers we're told, obviously, with the 19.9-ish trillion. And we have on November the 3rd of last year on Daily Signal, federal debt estimated to hit 20 trillion in February 2017. I calculated around March myself, but I can't remember and I can't remember how I did it. I know how I would have done it. I would have calculated the national debt at a certain time, then check like an hour later, seen how much the exact seconds that passed, divide the difference, and then calculate it that way. And that's how I got March. But nonetheless, it was supposed to happen soon. We got January 25th on Silver Doctors, on March 28th, and February 27th. This is a huge threat to the millennials. I'm going to bring a chart of the national debt up, and it's not the greatest of charts, for it just has single lines. It does this on a quarterly basis. But we can at least move this forward and see the rate of ascent. I don't know if you can see the year in here. I could probably change the scaling to make it smaller. Actually, that made it worse. And worse again. Well, now you can see the year at least. Okay. Wow, that's bigger. Anyway, let's scan it out this way, make it a bit big. Okay. So now we got the national debt, and what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We're 1974. I'm soon to be born. Okay. And okay, now I'm born, and the national debt is 600,000, it says, maybe 600 million, billion. But notice the rate. Notice what happened here. The rate of ascent goes a little higher, starting in 1975. Continues going up at pretty much that same rate of ascent as we head into 1979. Up a little bit higher, but not really. And this is a decent sized push as well, but it keeps going higher as we head into 1980s. Keeps going higher. I'm about to enter high school soon, and keeps going higher. Keeps going higher. Rate of ascent hasn't been really changing much. Okay, now I'm about to enter college here pretty soon. And keeps going higher, no real change, nothing to speak about other than it keeps going higher. I have a few sideways move where just doesn't do much, and then a big push. We can see 3 in here in 1995, up move. But 3 in here in 1997, another 3 more in 1998. But after every single time, it always has the up push. Notice in 2000, it actually has a very decent sideways one, but a very big breakout. And the rate of ascent continues to go much higher. Notice how it's much higher from this 18 average because of the magnitude of the increase. And it keeps going higher, and then it does it again. The rate of ascent. See this 18 average, how its curve increases? That's because of the larger increases. They call this in the mainstream media the Great Recession. But as we can see, this keeps going higher, sideways a bit, up in here. Keeps going higher into 2013. And, well, there's 3 sideways moves. Keeps going higher into 2015. We can see some more sideways moves. This is at 18 trillion now. We have 4 sideways moves with the thing didn't really change on here. And then up a bit, and here's where we stand. Now this last period is January 1st, 2017, which means that it hasn't even put the April one in, but obviously we got 19,846 here and 19,968, which means it's pretty much up with this level. It's continuing its sideways manner, but it only ends these sideways moves after, or in one style, and that is a limited amount of them, 3 to 4, and then going higher after that. So then the big question is, what's going to be looming when this breaks through? Donald Trump will be president when this happens because they can only keep this prop down for so long, but it seems as if it's a serious situation. After all, it is from my thinking that they have done tricks, not marketing, but just loopholes within the books. That's what I'm looking for, to keep this number under that key one. Because I've heard stuff about government shutdowns, employees not getting paid as a default in such on the debt. But hey, Donald Trump is president. Who knows defaulting on debt better than him? I'm just, of course, saying, but I have to think that when this thing does reach it, that when we do Google searches regarding 20 trillion debt, these spring of this year, fall or autumn of last year, winter, mainly winter of this previous one, they're now going to be updated. It'll be in the news again because it's not in the news now. And at that point, the stock market might start to roll over. It's a pretty darn near bullish right now. And the US dollar index, which has been declining, should very easily have a good chance of continuing its decline in such a case. The gold and silver markets, most likely, will continue to break higher. Now, as far as Bitcoin is concerned, it doesn't trade off of actual news, unless, of course, it becomes mainstream and it becomes part of the flock. As people hear more about the national debt in the situation of it becoming newsworthy, that's going to make more people become aware of Bitcoin because that information will just happen to be more conveniently there. Thus, it'll be talked about more. And as people are finding out about debt, some of them will find out hidden secrets, like how the money system is created, how the Federal Reserve isn't federal, and how it's really different points to the greatest Ponzi scheme that there is right now. For me, one of my earliest videos in learning about money were films like Money as Debt. You can see 7 years ago, 8 years ago. This is probably the exact video, and this is part 2. But even then, part 2 was at that stage 9 years ago for this one in here. And the view count's not too high, 188,000, but there were new ones after that followed. 10 years ago, Null Clothing put out Zeitgeist, the movie, The Federal Reserve, part 1 of 5. I probably watched that about, wow, it's been about, well, for me, 9 years when I watched it. It was the summer of 2008. Mike Maloney, The Hidden Secrets of Money, came out 4 years ago. 2.3 million views. That number, I think, is way too low, as it really is the hidden secrets and how important is money to most people. The American Dream. This one was a very cool and well done animated film. 2.2 million views, and this is 6 years ago. If I search dollar collapse and do it by view count, 7 million actually has been viewed on the cartoon on the Dr. Dude upload 6 years ago. And then you have Inflation US. That was a website, well, 6-7 years ago, and they have The Day the Dollar Died with 2.3 million views. If I do a search for Bitcoin and also again view count, then I got What is Bitcoin version 1 6 years ago by We Use Coin, 7.25 million views. How it works, 1.7. Bill Gates. Nobody can stop Bitcoin. Bitcoin is unstoppable. And it's at 1.7 million views. And what would Bill Gates know about technology? Really? I mean, come on, Bill Gates? Yeah, okay. With 911 and the same method, I can see that 8 million people have seen this video, 4 million in here, 3 million, 3 million, 3 million. So millions and millions of people have watched some sort of documentary or presentation on the subject. And as far as Nintendo is concerned, 2 years ago, 19 million people have watched teenagers reacting to the NES system. Over 1 million people have watched James Rolfe do Planet of the Apes. And by the way, he's a damn good presenter as well. We also have 4.5 million people who have watched a picture living in a van. Maybe a van down by the river, but it might not be near that such. Over 1 million people, and I see red on here. I guess I watched it at one point as well. Why underdogs do better in hockey than in basketball. Yeah, basketball favorites always kick ass, but anyway. And then we've had almost 1 million people watch the worst 5 weather games. I'm guessing either in Philadelphia Eagles or NFL history. 337 million people have clicked on to Aerosmith Crazy, but I kind of wonder about this. I've clicked on this probably 15 to 25 times in my life. It's a good song. It's a good video. 337 million. Sweet Emotion is in at 16 million, but I want to see what even has larger amounts of view counts. Taylor Swift, 2.2 billion views on Shake It Off, and I would have no idea what that song would sound like. I really wouldn't. I don't even want to know. Guns N' Roses, 834 million, November Rain. Good song. Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit, 571 million. Good song. No Doubt, Don't Speak. Good song. 415 million. Okay, so a few people are becoming aware, and it's obviously increasing more and more. And I'm going to finish this off with another good video. This one has 1,858 views. Entitled Bitcoin, the End of Money as We Know It, How We Know It. And it does a very good job at explaining a timeline throughout history. From back, we'll say prehistoric days, pre-biblical days. How about that? Up, of course, into this point, and how it has transitioned into the greatest fraud, that being the Federal Reserve banking system, and of course other central banks of the like in similar mannerisms, aka Bank of Canada and others. So a very, very good movie. And yeah, I think there's going to be more and more people coming into it and having to no choice but to learn about it. Although it should take a decent amount of time. I don't expect any major switch where all of a sudden, like in a 4, 5, 6 month period, you got everybody just trying to figure out what's wrong with the world. You got people learning about gold, silver, Bitcoin, monetary policies, at least how they're actually being done. I don't expect it to happen on a too fast level, but the reason why Bitcoin prices are going higher is because of people that have been getting informed in the situation. Thus, they are taking their fiat currencies and replacing them for Bitcoins. And as Bitcoin becomes more and more popular, becomes more and more accepted as a business, you are looking to sell your product or service and thus get paid. And if you refuse payment methods that can stop you from making profits or even going out of business, there's going to be a lot of business merchants rather that are going to be forced to accept things like Bitcoin and Ethereum and Litecoin and so on and so forth. Thank you for tuning in and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.